Welcome to the Americana Bistro Grill. I'm your host, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, also known as the fictional character, Dr. Rob. And for me, we're hosting the Americana Bistro Grill, serving you the best in Americana music. For me, it is a pleasure and an honor having one of the greatest of Minnesota's, Joel Sachs. And Joel Sachs recorded, if I'm not mistaken, he recorded Billions of Stars. And I had the honor of hearing Billions of Stars in the YouTube and fell in love not just with the CD, the album, but with all the songs in it. Joel, for me, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be a part of this wonderful podcast that you have.
For me, it's a pleasure and honor having you. And the thing was, Billions of Stars really surprised me. I loved it. You had a musical hiatus of 40 years. How did you get to record Billions of Stars after that hiatus of 40 years?
Well, that's a great question. Really what happened is I started to get involved a little bit in the Minnesota music community. And that started with a concert that I went to, and the headliner was Sarah Morris. And my wife and I both saw her at this big venue in Minnesota and just fell in love with her music and with her personality. And this was back in maybe 2015. And so we started watching her, and then we started to meet some other folks in that music community and started to spread out a little bit. And Sarah had always been talking about the singer-songwriter Songwriting Challenge, which is a Facebook community of folks who get a prompt. There's a winter session and a summer session, and you get pretty much a prompt a week or every other week. You write a song, you post it to Facebook. Other people then listen to this and comment in just the sweetest way possible. It's this loving community of musicians and folks who like music. And so as I approached retirement age, Dr. Rob, my wife, said, you know what, I think you should give this a try. And I did. And I started 3 years ago. And I just, again, fell madly in love with music again and just devoted the last 3 years in total to music.
Great. Although it might be redundant with these questions, how did you get started? Past? How is your career doing right now? What is your future in the music? And how has Sarah Morris, well, you already answered the one of the questions I was going to ask. How did Sarah Morris influence you in your music and in Billions of Stars?
Yeah. Well, we just had the release show, and I just had a blast. It was this wonderful experience. Sarah opened up the show, which was so kind of her, and she sang 3 songs with me. So every time I think about her and I think about that show, I have to smile. It was just so much fun. I think, when I was younger, of course, everyone wants to be a rock star. And I performed primarily in college in the Chicago area with my brother. And we had fun. It was a very different time then. There was no Spotify. It was just a very, very different world. And eventually my brother moved away, and I really didn't have a music community. And so I settled into a wonderful, wonderful life of family and work and all the things that everybody does. And as I was saying, then I eventually came back to music. And then I think it's kind of funny because when I first got back and started this challenge, people would say, hey, why don't you come? There's some open mics or whatever. And I was just adamant that I was not going to perform. I wanted to write songs. I didn't want to perform. It was too stressful and too much aggravation. And then what happened is, after about a year of writing songs, I really started to get comfortable again with the music. I got comfortable playing guitar. I got comfortable singing again. And so then I started to venture out into a few open mics and a few small gigs, and really have just been doing that consistently and writing music and gaining confidence, and it really in preparation for the big release show that I had. And that really was my biggest goal, was to create an album that I was really proud of, to do it with the community of musicians that I love. And I was able on this album to include Sarah Morris and Matthew French and Haley Rydell and Nikki Lemire. Oh my God, Nikki Lemire is amazing. And Dave Mailing was the producer, and Doyle Turner and Marc Severin. We just had a wonderful group of folks who were coming in and out on various songs, and they were all at the release show. So to me, it was just the culmination of 3 years of really hard work into one evening of and one album of love.
Great. So it was really great that you were able to work with all the greatest of Minnesota, like Sarah Morris, Nikki Lemire, and also with Matthew French, and also with Ted, Doyle.
Yeah, Ted, I forgot to say.
Hajnasiewicz.
Yeah, Ted, my best friend, Ted Hajnasiewicz, yeah, was on 2 songs too.
And how was the dynamics and all of that? I'm repeating the questions because I just wanted to know more about the album.
Yeah, it was just sweet. I told everyone before any recording sessions or any practice sessions, I'm in this, I want to have fun. So I want to create the best music I possibly can, but I want to have a lot of fun while I'm doing it. So that's the kind of message. And the way we did this, and what really sort of made it workable for me, is Dave Mailing, who had produced Sarah Morse's last album. We just worked together in his small studio, and I would come in and I would lay down the track for the basic guitar, acoustic guitar generally, and the vocals. So I'd get that all set, and then he would add everything on top of it. So he added bass and piano and electric guitar, even percussion he played. He would bring out the zither if he thought that would be good, or maracas, or whatever would help the sound. So I didn't have to hire a whole bunch of studio musicians to come in and play all these different instruments, because Dave could do it all. And I love the sound that he added to this, and we really became partners on this endeavor. And then I would bring in folks like Sarah and Ted and Haley to add harmonies and violin for Haley and harp for Nikki. So we would basically sit in the studio. Nikki would come in, we'd do a session with her harp, we'd do a session with her vocals, and I'm just listening on the headsets and just having the time of my life listening to these amazing people adding sort of their parts and really their versions and their thoughts about the songs.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. I not only heard it, I just heard it a few minutes ago, but even then I heard it about 3 or 4 or 5 times. I fell in love with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was really a great album. Really, let's say it was a labor of love.
It was an absolute labor of love. Yeah.
In addition to the labor of love, besides YouTube, where can we find the billions of stars, and where can we find your music?
Yes, thanks for asking that. It's on all the streaming services, so Spotify or Apple or Amazon, any place you want to look on the streaming services. Also, you can come to my website, which is joelsaxmusic.com. And on there, you can have access to the streaming services as well, or you can download the songs from my site. And you can see what the next events are. And you can sign up on my mailing list so I can get to know some of you a little bit more, and we can share music together.
Great. I do want to thank you for coming to the Americana Bistro Grill. For me, it's a pleasure and honor having you, just like we've had other artists from Minnesota and other areas of the Midwest, the South. We're really concentrating on the Midwest because we want to help most of the artists from the Midwest. On top of that, I'm also from the Midwest myself, from Ohio. Why, in addition to having the program for the South, I also want to help my people in the Midwest. And your album is really, as I said, a labor of love and peace.
Yeah, thank you.
And I also want, before leaving, before leaving, I do want to make some declarations.
Okay.
First declaration is number one, this interview, this is the first time that I dedicate an interview to anyone. I am dedicating this interview to the Divas of Minnesota. Who are the Divas of Minnesota? Number one, Sarah Morris. Two, Katy Tessman. Three, Amanda B. Perry. And four, Nikki Lemire. I'm also dedicating this interview to the international treasures, Doyle Turner and Ted Hajnasiewicz. And of course, I cannot forget my fellow Buckeye, Matthew French, was one of the greatest. And of course, I'm going to be adding Haley Rydell in the dedication. And
Awesome.
the rest, please support all the independent artists. All of them. They need your support. They're really doing great music at a time when we need great music, at a time when we need love and peace and understanding, which can only be achieved through music and through independent artists, especially those in the South and the Midwest. And also, please, if you can, buy from the small businesses, especially from those made in the United States, in the Midwest. I'm wearing the T-shirt and jeans and also the sandals of the All-American Clothing Company of Ohio. And of course, I'm supporting one of the independent artists, Ledfoot Larry, with this cap. Without much, I want to wish everybody the following: peace in, peace out, and peace everywhere. And please, you can also find me in all the other areas: YouTube, Brighteon, BitChute, Facebook, Instagram, Zelle, and also Brighteon, BitChute, and Gab, and Rumble. The best to all of you now and always. And until next time.